The aroma of freshly brewed coffee hung in the air as I sat facing Lorraine. 12 years of marriage, a life we had built together, and there she was, sliding divorce papers across the table, like they were a lunch menu. A small, almost triumphant smirk curved her lips, as if she had just claimed some great victory. I wasn't prepared for this. Not the papers, not her expression, not the way she leaned back in her chair, with a smug confidence I had never seen before. She had always been sharp, yes, but this felt different. The sunlight glinted off her golden hair as she sipped her mimosa, her composure untouched by the storm rising between us. Sitting next to her was Carter, her new lover, a man whose muscles looked as puffed up as his polished watch, which he kept adjusting so everyone could notice. He grinned at me like I was missing some private joke. The papers lay there, neat and white, the last page stamped with my name in bold letters. I didn't reach for them right away. I simply stared at the pages, then at her, trying to understand when she had become this person. 12 years of shared memories, a home, a life together, and she was discarding it all like spoiled bread. I could almost sense the waitress hovering nearby, curious about the icy tension settling over our table. Lorraine didn't seem bothered. She kept that smirk, as though waiting for me to explode, maybe to yell, to beg, to create a scene. But I refused to give her that satisfaction. I breathed deeply and asked quietly, "You're really doing this here?" The clatter of cutlery filled the silence, but Lorraine only shrugged, as if it were nothing. "It's as nice a place as any," she said, using my full name, Miles, instead of the affectionate word she once used when things were good. Now I was just Miles, a stranger from her past. Carter chuckled, lifting his coffee with deliberate ease, as if his every move was louder than speech. I wanted to knock that gaudy watch off his wrist, but I stayed calm, letting the reality sink in. Her signature was clear and steady on the papers, the same way she signed everything. She had planned this for a long time. Thought back to the nights she stayed out late, to when she stopped caring about my day, to the eye rolls every time I mentioned work. I had dismissed it as stress. But this wasn't a phase. She was finished. And Carter, he was her chosen type. I wondered what he had that I didn't. Money, boldness, a louder laugh. Whatever it was, she believed it was enough to replace the life we'd built. I picked up the pen the waitress had left with the bill and signed the receipt. Pancakes, eggs, mimosas, what once felt ordinary now marked a surreal morning. I slid the receipt back toward her, meeting her gaze. "See you in court," I said steadily. For the first time her smirk faltered. Carter shifted uneasily, unsure how to react to my calm. I stood, laid down enough cash to cover the bill, and walked out without a second glance. The door chimed as I left, but I didn't look back. Lorraine thought she had humiliated me, caught me off guard, but she never really knew me. Not then, not. Oh, I had spent years building more than she could ever imagine. She wanted Carter and his flashy watch. That was fine. Soon enough she'd realize what she was abandoning. Reached my car, gripping the wheel tighter as my mind began to plan. The divorce papers still sat on the table, but this wasn't the end, it was the beginning. By the time they realized, it would be too late. "I told you everything," Braden said, his voice edged with nerves. "You never told me he owned the firm. You only said you were married to him." Lorraine's face paled, then flushed with fury. "I didn't know he owned it. How could I?" Her voice cracked. Carter shifted beside her, staring like she had turned into someone else. "Judge Calloway didn't flinch. So you failed to disclose conflict. That's enough for dismissal. Mr. Knox's withdrawal stands. Tapped her pen sharply, final as a gavel. Lorraine slammed her fists on the table, anger boiling over. I didn't lie. Chose this firm because it was the best, not because of him. The bailiff stepped forward, but the judge raised her hand. Mrs. Caldwell, control yourself or be removed. I leaned back as Jules nudged me with a grin. Elias calmly scribbled. Look. Across the aisle Lorraine was unraveling. She had underestimated me. She thought hiring the best firm would guarantee her victory. She didn't know that I owned it. I had bought it years ago, back when she was still smiling across our dinner table. I never told her, not because I hid it but because she never cared to ask. Now those details returned to crush her. Braden stood desperate. Your Honor, my client faces a severe disadvantage. We request a continuance. Judge Calloway barely looked at him. Request noted. Mrs. Caldwell chose her counsel and she'll live with the outcome. We proceed. Braden slumped, defeated. Lorraine turned to me, venom in her voice. You planned this, didn't you? You set me up. Met her glare without flinching. No, Lorraine. You set yourself up. For a moment her smirk cracked. He turned away, muttering at Braden, though I couldn't hear. Carter leaned closer, whispering, so now what? No lawyer. Lorraine snapped. Shut up, Carter. He pulled back, confused. I almost pitted. Almost. The judge called Elias to present my case. Calmly he laid out the truth. The marriage was over. I had provided for her and her claims of mistreatment were exaggerated. Well, dramatics, only facts. Lorraine had little left. Without her lawyer shielding her, she was exposed. The judge turned to her. Mrs. Caldwell, you can proceed alone or we adjourn until tomorrow. Your choice. Lorraine hesitated, glaring at me, then at the judge, then back at me again. Finally she muttered, I need time. The judge nodded. Very well. Adjourned until tomorrow at 9. Your house in order. The gavel struck, and the room exhaled. I rose, adjusting my jacket as Jules slapped my back. That was brilliant, he said, laughing. I didn't smile. I only nodded and headed toward the door. Lorraine sat frozen, her eyes blazing as I passed. She didn't look back. She would realize soon enough. Outside, the courthouse bustled with attorneys and clerks rushing about. For me, the world slowed. Lorraine was inside, likely yelling at Braden or snapping at Carter. None of it mattered. I had turned her plan upside down. Had nothing now. No lawyer, no strategy. Just a collapse of her own making. Jules grinned as we stepped down the stairs. Did you see her face when the judge cut her off? She's going to lose it. Nodded, keeping my eyes forward. Yeah. She never saw it coming. The March air hit sharp and cold as I reached the bottom step, hands in my pockets, taking a long breath.